think everybody here knows me, so I don't really need to introduce myself. My name's Rosie, and this is a monologue I wrote about 7-8 months ago, and I've just been working on it since, and I've put in some songs that I wrote, and some familiar songs, so hopefully it works as a piece. Come to the edge and take my hand, we'll tumble into the air. Hold tight to me, don't fight with me, I promise I won't drop you. Let your heart skip a beat, have faith to set it free. Don't fly so low, fly with me. I lift you high and whirl you round, you laugh like a child in the sun. I'll hold you firm and rock you safe, I promise I won't drop you. Let your heart skip a beat, have faith to set it free. Don't fly so low, fly with me. I'll walk with you on the cinder path till your numbness turns into pain. I'll carry you when it gets too hard, I promise I won't drop you. Let your heart skip a beat, have faith to set it free. Don't fly so low, fly with me. Come dance with me through the rainbow, touching all the colors of love. I'm with you till we get to the end, I promise I won't drop you. Let your heart skip a beat, have faith to set it free. Don't fly so low, fly with me. Let your heart skip a beat, have faith to set it free. I won't drop you, so fly with me, fly with me, fly with me. What's that saying about other people's shoes? It'll come to me. I remember she'd on new shoes that day. Lovely they were. Dead trendy at the time. Navy blue and laced up at the front. Leather, I suppose. Though I wouldn't have known that back then. And she'd on this beautiful red dress with a zip up the front and lace and a big bow at the neck. She said her ma made it, but I don't know, because it was really lovely. And my ma could never have made anything like that, even though she worked in the factory. My ma was always telling us how hard it was. Stitching all day's wearying, and I'm so weary. That's what she used to say. I think she made shirts and things, but she never made anything for us. At the time, all we knew was that our ma worked in the factory, and she was always weary. She did laugh sometimes, but it always ended in a sigh. That used to make me feel a bit sad. I'd love to hear that sigh now, even without the laugh. There it is. Just heard it in my head there now. That girl with the new shoes, well, they weren't really shoes. They were sandals, and it was the summer. Our teacher, he was really strict. really horrible and cruel sometimes. But that day, when we were all out, a field trip he called it, he was all smiles, and he spoke to us as if he liked us. He was so used to being scared of. I kept telling myself, waiting for him to be the real him. That girl, she was all smiles too. Like she believed him. I didn't. I'd seen my dad switch faces too often. Come and see the frog spawn, he shouted over. I was thinking about shoes again, and realised I'd never had new ones. I've made up for it since though. So there he was, hunkered down over this bit of water in amongst all the grass. His face all shiny and red and happy looking. I'd never seen him like that. And the girl in the sandals, she was right beside him, and she looked all happy too. Then I remembered the week before, when he sent me and her next door to see our old teacher, just because her handwriting wasn't perfect. He said he was disappointed in her, expected as much from me. She was crying, and our old teacher, she didn't say a word, just shook her head, and I couldn't tell if she was sad or angry. She was dead soon after that. She took her car to the fields and killed herself with exhaust fumes over some man. Nobody told us, but we heard things and pieced it all together, the way children do when adults think they don't understand anything. I once asked the girl in the sandals what being weary meant. She said something about people being old and sad and disappointed. But how did she know that? She was only the same age as me. I thought maybe she was making it up. But the next time my ma said it, I knew it was true. Some things just are. Like the way our teacher was, the way my dad was. Both of them always tell me how useless I was. So I didn't really think I could be good at anything. It was the girl in the sandals who got me into it. Music, that is. She used to bring a wee tranny into school. I know that doesn't sound right, but that's what we used to call our transistor radios. Hers was blue and cream, and she said she got it for Christmas. We'd all sit round her at lunchtimes, listening to the songs, singing along and pretending we were pop stars. I can still remember the words of those songs when I hear them now. Hey there, Georgie girl, swinging down the street so fancy-free. Nobody you meet could ever see the loneliness there inside you. Hey there, Georgie girl, why do all the boys just pass you by? Could it be that you don't try, or is it the clothes you wear? You're always window shopping, but never stopping to buy. So shed those dowdy feathers and fly a little bit. Hey there, Georgie girl, there's another Georgie deep inside. Bring out all the love you hide, and oh, what a change there'll be. The world will see a new Georgie girl. Will you shut that racket? My dad was always shouting at me, but I knew he didn't mean it, because his face gave him away. So I'd sing louder, and he'd laugh. A real laugh, with no sigh in the end. It was great when he was like that, and Ma didn't seem so weary. Then he arrived home one day with his guitar. It was all battered up, and he said he got it in the market. Want it in a bit more like, my ma said. And sure, what use is it anyway? There's no strings in it. But I didn't care. It was a wonderful thing to me. I took it into school the next day, and even the ones who said what my ma had said about it, that didn't spoil my happiness. I would get strings for it somehow. After all, I never thought I'd own a real guitar, and now I had one. So I propped it up in my room, and admired it, and stroked it, and sang with it in front of the mirror. It even got me in trouble with the teacher. I couldn't stop talking about it, even in class. And that cost me a whack on the shoulder with his blackboard duster. got me a bit of sympathy as well at lunchtime, when we were all gathered round the tranny. No strings yet then, some of them asked. I could see they weren't making fun of me this time. About a week later, I arrived in the classroom, and there was something going on. There were looks and whispers behind hands. "Coming up to the front," he said to me. But he had a smiling face on, so I was confused. "Go on, open it," he said, handing me an envelope. "You know that song, Silence is Golden? Well, I opened that envelope, and there was a set of guitar strings, and there wasn't a single sound in that room. I thought then it was the best moment of my life. Then everyone started cheering and laughing, and then that was the best moment of my life. "It's a present from us all," he said. "Now go home tonight and start learning how to play the thing." I skipped home in a cloud, singing my heart out, not knowing it was about to be broken, and that all the faces in my life would soon be changed forever. She wouldn't have felt a thing. That's what everyone said. But I knew it was one of those things that people said when they didn't know what else to say. I'd seen it on TV. I don't really remember much after that. It was all a bit of a blur. People coming and going, with their tears and their sad looks. When all I could picture was Ma's face turning to look at me, just as she stepped out onto the road. Poor Ma. If she hadn't been so weary, maybe she would have been more careful. She'll speak when she's ready. That's what the doctor told me, Dad. As if I wasn't in the room. He hadn't been to the pub or the betting shop since, and he always looked as if he was about to cry, but he never did. Well, once he did. He came home and found the guitar lying all busted up and dead in the backyard. I don't even remember doing it, but I'm told it was definitely me. I went away for a while after that happened. In the chilly hours and minutes of uncertainty, I want to be in the warm hold of your loving mind, to feel you all around me, to take your hand along the sand. But I may as well try and catch the wind. When sundown pales the sky, I want to hide a while behind your smile. And everywhere I look, your eyes I find. For me to love you now would be the sweetest thing. 'Twould make me sing. But I may as well try and catch the wind. When rain has hung the leaves with tears, I want you near to kill my fears and help me leave all my blues behind. For standing in your hearts, where I want to be and long to be, but I may as well try and catch the wind. Will you get those bloody shoes off the table? All right, Dad. They become dead superstitious, like, don't walk onto that ladder. Don't put those new shoes on the table. And if he saw mine pan its own, well, he nearly broke his neck looking around for another one. It was even starting to rub off on me. Seemed like when I started talking again, he stopped. And now most of the time he only opened his mouth to give off about something. It was just me and him left in the house, but we got on okay. We knew our way around each other. Wouldn't you know, I'd end up working in a shoe shop. And not only that, but the best shoe shop in the town. Looking after my customers was an important job, and they trusted me with their feet. Like a hairdresser with your hair, or a doctor with your life. You got the odd smelly pair that made you want to heave, but I soon learned how not to show it. Best of all, I got a staff discount, and every couple of months I'd save up and treat myself to a new pair. These ones were shiny black with big thick soles and really high heels. Platforms they were called, just in case you didn't know. And they looked great, unless you went over on your ankle and did yourself damage. I was going to wear them that night to the disco with my black mini dress. I thought I was it. Dad told me I looked like a spider. That night, I left him sitting in his chair in front of the telly with his wee half bottle and pack of 10 fags. I knew that when I come home later, he'd be in bed, the empty bottle in the bin, and the rinsed glass and ashtray on the draining board. He never went out, never bothered with any women. Can't be arsed with all that, he'd say, when my aunt would start fussing over him about being on his own. But he wasn't. Sure, he had me. Must be hard trying to pretend not to be weary all the time. And at least with me, he didn't have to. Oh, I loved the disco, loved the music and the dancing. And of course, there were the boys. The first thing I always looked at was their shoes. Wouldn't have mattered what he looked like if his shoes were a mess. If he didn't look after his shoes, then he wouldn't look after me. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. There was this one boy, and I couldn't stop thinking about him. Oh, he was lovely. And he wore the best shoes. They were handsome shoes, just like him. He was at the disco that night, and my insides were leaping about like a bag of frogs. And when he came over and asked me to dance, I felt like jumping up and down and screaming, like those girls at the pop concerts. He took my hand and I skipped onto that dance floor. It was the best moment of my life. I hadn't seen her for years, but when she came into the shop, I recognised her straight away, even before she smiled. She asked how I was, and said she was sorry about what happened to Ma, or Mum, as she called her. His wife left him for another man, she said, meaning our teacher. No surprise there then, and we both laughed. She said how lucky I was to be working in a shoe shop, and that she'd soon be off to college to study music. She told me she still had her tranny, and asked if I still had my guitar. I said no. She bought a lovely pair of green boots, and hugged me before she left, saying she hoped she'd see me again soon. That was the first time I'd not felt lucky to be working in a shoe shop. I saw her again soon, all right. Saw the green boots and the handsome shoes walking into the disco, side by side. It didn't make sense at first. Then I looked up and saw the faces, smiling at each other, smiling at the world, smiling at me. There was this great heavy stone in my stomach, and I had to keep telling myself not to cry, not to be sick. I cried all the way home and threw up the side of the road, all over my new black shoes. Dad wasn't in when I got there, which was good, because I didn't want him to see me like that, not after the last time. There were 2 glasses sitting on the kitchen table beside his wee half bottle, and there was a cigarette butt in the ashtray with lipstick on it. That was a first. So I just climbed the stairs and get into bed with my coat and bulky shoes and everything still on me. And I thought about Ma, and I wish she hadn't gone and died. They had a winter wedding, Madonna's new woman. I didn't fit into this new domestic arrangement. I had nowhere else to go, no money to go there with. So I went out a lot. drank a lot, paid for by anybody who fancied me enough to part with their money. Stopped caring what they wore on their feet. I believe it was called having a good time. Then one came along and he fell in love with me. Then we had a winter wedding. And I got a beautiful dress and lots of admiration. Everyone said how lucky we were to get a house of our own straight away. And him and Dad got on a treat. I never really took to that wife of his. She wasn't mine. Sure, that wasn't her fault. Anyway, we all got on fine, and everybody told us about the happy years we had to look forward to. They also told us to start a family, have children. We're always good at telling other people what to do. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If you have a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road, I share your load. If you just call me, call me, call me, call me. I heard when the England called, and this time I didn't recognise her straight away. She still had that lovely smile. She had a look about her that reminded me of Ma. I was pleased to see her. After all, she'd no idea what had happened that night. So we went for a coffee and a catch-up. We asked each other all the usual questions about jobs and husbands and things. She'd no kids either. I was happy enough to talk about my life. I mean, there wasn't anything exciting about it. But I had a good man. And sure, weren't we like best mates after all these years? She'd ended up with a handsome shoes and was still with him. But she wasn't saying very much about him. She was more interested in me and what I was doing. And she kept looking at her watch, like she was going to be late for something. I didn't take it personally. The following week, I turned up for the choir practice, just like she'd asked me to. "You'll love it," she said, when I did. There was me singing away, and I was thinking about riding my bike when I was wee and feeling all free and light, even when my hands were numb with the cold. That's what it felt like. I told her that before I left, and she looked so sad I thought she was going to cry. And I'd only told her because I thought it would make her happy. A couple of weeks later, she said she had a surprise for me and to wait behind after. And that night, I was given the second guitar of my life. It looked new, but she said it wasn't. That somebody given it to her. and just let on I believed her. So every week after the singing, she'd teach me a bit more with the guitar. I loved playing it, and I practiced every single day. It wasn't long before I was able to sing and play at the same time, which isn't easy. She told me I had a talent. I just thought I was lucky. It happened one day when we were out having coffee in a cat shop. I can't even remember what we were talking about. She just burst into tears in the middle of the coffee shop. I was more shocked than anything. She was always so proper. Then it all came out. Years and years of her being told what to do and what not to do. Who she was allowed to see, who she wasn't allowed to see. He wouldn't even let her have a cat. And I'm surprised he let her see me. I didn't tell her she should leave him. I knew what it was like having other people telling you what you should do all the time. Next time I visited Dan, he called me out into the hall for a word, and I wondered what I'd done this time. Here, you better have these, he said, handing me an envelope. Well, I opened that envelope, and there was a set of guitar strings. It was the same envelope and the same guitar strings, and I couldn't believe he'd kept them all this time. He hugged me and smiled and said Ma would have been proud of me, and I was glad he wasn't weary anymore. I'm dying. Just like that, she came out with it, and I'm going to leave him. I thought she was joking, till I looked at her face, and then I knew it was true. This time I was the one burst out crying. She gave me a hanky. Then she started telling me all these other things that had happened with her and the handsome shoes. The thing was, the way she told these stories, they were funny, and we were both laughing. She decided me and her were going to do a field trip, like the one we did at school. It definitely wasn't the summer, but she was determined to go up those fields. And of course, everything had changed. It was all built up, and we had to go through these new streets and houses to get there. We never expected to find any frog spawn, but we did find a hedgehog, so at least we were able to hunker down over something. She was the same age as me, but I looked at her, and all I could see was a girl in a beautiful red dress and blue sandals, smiling at me. She didn't ask me to sing at her funeral, but I thought she'd like it if I did, so I wrote her a song. I saw a single magpie, I didn't look for two, broke the habit of a lifetime, all because of you. I paused beneath a ladder, counted every single rung, stood there while my voice climbed higher than it's ever sung. I'm lost in simple happiness, I can feel above my feet the thumping of my long lost heart, that fluttery butterfly beat, and the lightness of being me. I watched a shooting star, a life so short and bright, light up the dark around me like a ray of sun in the night. No more superstition, no black dog thoughts of gloom, no more fear of loneliness, sad shapes inside the moon. I'm lost in simple happiness, I can feel above my feet the thumping of my long lost heart, that fluttery butterfly beat, and the lightness of being me. Handsome Shoes was there, of course, though he wasn't exactly exactly handsome anymore. And anyway, I knew all about his ugly bits now. He came over and thanked us for coming, thanked me for singing. Then we left, because we didn't know anybody. And my man took me out for lunch. We went for a walk afterwards and held hands. It wasn't the best moment of my life, but it was a good one. I've remembered that saying now. It's about not judging somebody until you've walked a mile in their shoes. You see, it always comes back to the shoes.
It was lovely, so emotional. Had you heard it? No, it was brilliant, wasn't it? We're so proud of you.